So let's talk about things to avoid while turkey hunting or while scouting or while setting up. You know, certain things that turkeys don't want to do, you know, or certain things that they don't want to encounter, right? Mm-hmm. So let's talk about, you want to touch on natural barriers is what we call it.
Yeah, sure. Anything that is going to inhibit them easily being able to get to you can become a big obstacle. And sometimes it's little things that you're like, come on, bird. You can fly up into the top of trees and you can't get over this little 6-foot creek.
Exactly.
Or, you know, this little 4-foot tall farm fence. You can't just hop over it. But that goes back to what we talked about. Sometimes they're geniuses and sometimes they're just not that smart.
Or sometimes maybe they're just lazy.
Yeah,
you know, because
exactly.
they can fly, but they choose not to, you know?
Yeah.
So.
Probably some of the most common obstacles that stop birds from getting to you. Let's say that you know that a turkey's over in this woods. You can hear him gobbling. And as you're looking, you know, you see a creek or a river, you know, something like that. Those can be big obstacles. They may come all the way to the edge of the creek, but they're not going to cross it. So if all you can do is get within, you know, 80 yards of that creek, you're done. You're going to sit there and see the bird. He's going to gobble his head off, waiting for you to come to him, but he's not going to go across that water.
Right.
Other things that can be big factors would be like fence lines, you know. Doesn't take much, but a little 4-foot fence, they'll hit that and turn and walk down it and move back and forth. Landon, out in New Mexico, we were doing a stalk on a bird that we'd seen, and he had no clue we were there, but he couldn't get past this 4-foot fence.
Right.
And it really ended up panning out for us, so we'll take a look at that clip real quick. Chris Mooring is the owner of High Country Outfitters in New Mexico. He hunts elk, bear, mule deer, turkeys, and he does a great job getting you lined for a shot. We'd been hunting with Chris for 2 days chasing these Merriams, and we'd had a ton of action, already got several birds. That got him. Awesome. But he knew a spot where a tom had been strutting in the middle of the day that was kind of out in the open, and about the only way you could really work it was to try and slip in and do a spot and stalk. So he dropped Landon off to slip in and try and close the deal.
To your left, left, left.
When you're doing a stalk, it's good to remember some landmarks on where the animal is that you're trying to get to. Because once you get up there, things look quite a bit different. Well, Landon was having a hard time seeing this bird, so it was time to send in the reinforcements.
Good, just good. Go on, move one clump forward.
I'm gonna follow you. When he goes behind that stuff, he's going back down that way again. If he gets behind that stuff, all that'll fall down. We can get up there a long ways. He does have a few other birds with him. Let's go more. We can move now. See him right there? Okay. Be ready for him to pop back out. Going back to the right again. See him out in the open?
I'm just gonna crawl, okay?
Okay, he's going back to the left now. Wait, wait. As soon as he gets behind that cover, go. Well, now we're in position, but we got to get him to stop if he's going to get a shot. Here it comes. Yeah. Spot and stock.
That was crazy.
You ever seen a bird act like
I
that?
was so confused. I don't have a mouth call or nothing. I was going. It's gobbling. That's the worst turkey sound ever.
Oh, that was
No
cool.
face mask, no gloves. It was a spot and stalk. Every time the bird went that way, crawl a little bit more, or turn around, I'd stop. Did it little by little. Got within 25, 30 yards. Smoked him, man.
Yeah.
So it was tough hunting last couple days, but this is the third bird we've got in the last 12 hours combined. So it's just been a blast, man. Chris is the man. He's been scouting these birds. I can't believe I'm out of breath and I only ran 25 yards. Adrenaline. That was a rush. That was a heck of a hunt. But yeah, man, this is the guy right here. Chris knows his birds. He knows where they're at. If you want good advice, talk to big man right here, Mr. Tucker. Talk to Tucker. So, what a hunt, man.
Awesome.
What a hunt. That's a very good beard for a Miriam, so
It's the biggest of the trip, I think, isn't it?
it's a
So
pretty
far,
good one.
we got 2 more birds to go.
Pretty good. Well,
You know, when the birds weren't cooperating, they weren't doing plan A, plan B and C is what we're putting into effect here, and it's putting them on the
Yeah.
ground.
well, like you said, this turkey hunting game's like playing chess, and all the time you got to mix it up. You know, you can't. If something's not working, you can't keep doing the same thing over and over. So you got to strategize and just keep going after them. That's what it's all about. Have fun.
So as you just saw in that video, that's a situation where you can use a natural barrier for your advantage. But we saw the turkey prior to that situation. We knew that he didn't like that fence. Like Marty said, he's gonna walk back and forth like you saw in the video. Typically though, like he was talking about, if you have a bird on the other side of that fence, he's gobbling, it's hard to get him over that. So typically you want to avoid that situation, but if you can use a natural barrier to your advantage, go for it, use it.
Yeah, and sometimes it's even tall grass or something.
Yeah.
You know, they really rely on their eyesight. And if for them to get to where you're at, they have to go through a bunch of tall grass, there's times that they'll hit that and say, no, I'm not going through that, because they don't know if there's a coyote or some kind of predator laying inside there waiting for them to come through.
Yeah, and I think another key component to the tall grass too is, you know, we're talking about strutting toms, and that's one of those things where they like to strut, puff up their feathers in areas that aren't going to hinder that, you know. So a lot of times you'll see them, you know, maybe cut across grass, but they're not going to spend much time out there for the most part. You know, they want to be able to spend some time doing their strutting thing, and that tall grass can prohibit that.
So make sure when you're doing your scouting to keep an eye out for these kind of natural barriers that can stop those turkeys from coming to you, and keep that in mind so you've got that knowledge stored for when you're actually there in the hunt. That way you can kind of set up, like if you know that there's a lake over here and they're typically roosted on the other side, you can get set up off to the side so they don't have to try and hit that lake and walk all the way around it. You can call them straight down the edge of it right to you. So just something to keep in mind while you're out scouting, and hopefully this tip will help you out.